this video example, we're going to take you through the process of setting up crowdsourcing from an administrator's perspective, and then also what users see when they attempt to claim or crowdsource data in your locator. To get started, the first thing we're going to do is create a new interface. I'm just going to choose Store Locator and Rich Media, though the other interfaces additionally support crowdsourcing. Once the interface is created, one of the first things I'm going to do is, under the results, I'm going to add a special field called Claim. Claim presents a link that allows the end user to claim a location as their own. Its default language is edit this location, and you can see it down here. It's been automatically added to the body. I'm not going to make any additional changes to this link, though it does support colors, icons, just like the rest of the links within MetaLocator. As a matter of convenience, I'm going to change the locator to display all results. And then I'm going to go to the crowdsourcing section, and I'm going to build the crowdsourcing form. This is going to allow me to select which fields the user can access. And so I'm going to allow them to update the name. And I'm also going to allow them to update the phone number. And we'll just leave it at that for now. As you can see, the ability to add multiple fields is relatively straightforward. But I'm also going to add a submit button to allow them to save their changes. And I'm going to drop that in the footer. Notice the UI displays a little warning that says that edit is disabled in this interface preview. We'll discuss that a little bit further. Under more crowdsourcing features, I'm going to allow edit on the front end, which is the default. And then I'm also going to show an add link, which will allow the users to add a location from scratch, that is opposed to editing a location. That's all the changes I'll make to this interface, since we have basic crowdsourcing now enabled. I'll hit save. And now I'd like to try this out. At this phase, we're going to switch roles and consider what this experience will be like for the end user. I'm going to begin with a preview, and when I do that, I'm actually going to open it in an incognito window. What that allows me to do is see what a user would see if they were not logged in. I see my list of results, each with an edit this location, and I also have this add a location button displayed. Next thing I'm going to do is open my email so that I can receive the emails that the admin receives, and then also as the crowdsourcing user. So I'm just opening my email off screen. So the first thing I'm going to do as an end user is attempt to claim or edit this location, sample location 1. So I'll click edit, and it will ask me to claim this location as a user. So I will say that my email is as follows, using the plus trick to create an anonymous email. And I'll just enter, please allow me access, and hit submit. The interface will let me know that our request has been delivered and that an admin will review this request. Now we're going to switch our position or our perspective back to that of an administrator. And we will see that this user has appeared in the back end under User Manager. They are not enabled, and we've also received an email notification. It looks like this. It says a user is requesting access to claim a location. It mentions the user's email, the reason they entered, and then a link to the location that they're requesting access to. Clicking review request will bring me straight back into this page to review the request. So I will go in and I will approve this user's access. I have to approve this access at 2 levels. One is I need to enable the user, so I'm going to do that. When I enable that user, that will trigger an email to that user letting them know that they can choose a password. But right now they don't have access to anything. Since one user may request access to multiple locations, those location access requests can be approved individually. Notice down here we have the initial request for the user to access sample location 1, and that status is not yet approved. So I'm going to additionally approve access for the user to edit that location. Now let's switch our context back to the user who had initially requested access to claim sample location 1. They just received 2 emails as follows. Choose a password for your account, and then also a notification that their access to that data was approved. So the first thing they will do is choose a password for their account. So they would have received an email just like this one, requesting that they set their password. I'm going to click on this, but I'm actually going to open it again in an incognito window so that MetaLocator doesn't consider me logged in as an administrator. When I do that, it will ask me to enter in the email address that I chose. I'm going to copy and paste that from my email, and the verification code that was provided in the email. Now I get to choose a password. And hit submit. And now I can log in. Now that I've signed in, the system automatically gives me the opportunity to edit the location that I had initially requested to edit. Let's call it my store name. And maybe I can update the phone number as well. The location was saved and the system will reload, and notice my changes were immediately reflected. Edit this location now also includes a little heart icon to the right of it to indicate that this is a location that I can own and manage. My changes were made immediately based on one important setting that's available to enterprise users, and that is the ability to stage the content. Under crowdsourcing settings, we have an opportunity to, instead of making the changes go live immediately, we have the opportunity to stage them. As controlled by this option, stage changes for approval. I can make that change and now hit save. And now we can see how the experience will change from the end user standpoint. Let's switch back to our incognito window, and we're going to reload the page. Now we're working on this interface in a context where our changes will be saved or staged. So now let's edit this location again. We'll call it my store name 2 and hit submit. Notice that the box still says that the location has been saved, but instead notes that our edits have been received and are under review by an administrator. Go ahead and click OK. And now we'll switch to the back end to see what the administrator has seen. Under locations and all records, we can see that we have our various locations. I'm going to click on my store name, and notice we should have an option for pending revisions in the upper right. Notice this blue toolbar icon. The administrator would have also received an email letting them know that there was a pending revision. Within pending revisions, we can see there's been a couple. The most recently submitted one is this one here. So you can view the revision itself and understand what is different compared to the current value. So changes are highlighted in red. So notice this user requested to change my store name to my store name 2. I could choose restore in order to make those changes live. Or I could choose restore, make those changes temporarily live, and then make a couple adjustments to them in the back end. But in this case, I'm just going to ignore those changes, and I can also mark them as viewed. That allows you to approve and ultimately edit location content that's coming in from your users. That is essentially a demonstration of the core elements of crowdsourcing plugin.